Got my cologne. You know how that works. Just, I'm feeling good that night.
I spoon between these two Australian men who know each other.
She took it, and she looked at me, and she went in to give me a kiss, and I fucking bolted. I panicked. I don't know what the hell to do with that.
And like Leah pushing me against the brick pillar and going, "Who is it? Who's your girlfriend?" And I was like, "It's you, okay?"
Imagine if Scarface wasn't about a drug dealer, but it was about a surgeon. That was my dad, right? He'd be like, "Say hello to my little friend." Scalpel.
Night gowns. What do you call those? Whatever they are. Evening gowns, thank you. And they are gorgeous. And I am a super friendly guy.
And like, I barely like my tongue in my own mouth. Why do I want to put it in somebody else's mouth?
Sometimes they have a partner and the partner comes in and chops their head off. And that's what this breakup was like.
This story that you're going to hear tonight has been a favorite of mine since the very first time I heard it. I have forced him many times when we didn't have enough storytellers, and he's already told a different story previously in the night. I have forced him to get on stage and tell the story again. So please put your hands together for our next storyteller, telling a story called Rusty. It's Tom Schmidt.
Thank you. So the story that I'm going to tell you is, the official title is Shitting at Rusty's Head. This takes place in a small town, maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes from Madison. My cousin and I grew up, me visiting him on a farm. And the interesting thing is that Fred and I would have to find something to do. So one day, Fred and I decided that what we'd have to do that particular day was to shit on Rusty's head. Now, this took place in the front yard of my grandmother's house. And the community was very small, so it's not like it is in the middle of a city or anything. There was a country road that ran past her house, and there was a ditch, and across the street from her house was a cheese factory and a bunch of real nice maple trees that could hide me quite nicely. And so how this actually took place as far as the framework of Fred saying, well, I think we ought to do this, or me saying, I think we ought to do this. I was from Milwaukee, so probably the sophistication of being a city boy probably brought it to mind, shitting on somebody's head. So I climbed up this tree in the front of my grandmother's yard and was hidden pretty well. I was maybe 10 feet off the ground, and my cousin Fred somehow got Rusty to stop by and positioned him appropriately in the front of against this tree, with me being up above. And I guess when you're younger, you're primed and ready to go at all times. And I was. And so Rusty got positioned correctly, and I dropped my pants and let go. And I imagine that some of you as children or with your children, you had this, our kids had like this octopus. And you'd take this octopus and you'd throw it against a wall, and it would kind of crawl down the wall. Well, that's how this turd came down this tree. And it kind of would catch and flop and catch and flop and catch and flop, and then landed right next to Rusty. And so I had missed him. And I guess what I'd say, in hindsight, I should have planned a little bit better. But in any event, at that point, all of a sudden it dawns on you that maybe you shouldn't have thought of this idea at the very beginning. Because now you've got the turd laying next to Rusty, and Rusty realizes what's happened, and he's looked up and seen his bare ass above him. And so now it's a time to make sure that Rusty, who, by the way, is a good friend of ours, is not going to run and tell his mom or any other adult for that matter. And so at that point, I got down the tree and we started talking with Rusty a little bit, and it was a big joke. And we decided that the way to bribe him would be simply a Tootsie Roll and a Daz root beer, which we did. We went down to Tooney's store and we got him a Tootsie Roll and a Daz root beer, and we had a good time for the rest of the day. That evening, my grandmother decided that it was important for me to go to a prayer meeting. And my grandmother was pretty religious, and it was very unusual for me to be included in this opportunity. And normally when I would go to church with my grandmother, she would always have her purse, and her purse would have these peppermints that she would feed me to keep me from being too fidgety. And that night she had a saltwater taffy, and it was, wrapped up in a little piece of paper, and it was in a roll kind of shape, and it was peanut butter flavored. And I thought, she knows. She's giving me this peanut butter flavored piece of candy because she knows what I had done in her front yard. Anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, Tom. I'm not going to be walking under any trees anytime soon in your yard. I love that you just automatically assume your grandmother was trying to make you eat poop. That's funny.